Hey, everybody, it says we're live. We'll see you in just a minute. You guys let me know if you're out there. Give me a sound and video check. Make sure everything's okay. I tweaked a few things here and there, so I want to make sure it's up and running. We got audio and all that kind of stuff. Allergies are a little bit flared up, so you guys let me know if things are okay before we get going. This is live. It's a live show, so you'll have to let me know before we get too deep into it if we have audio and video. Hello, Ethan. Good to see you. Everybody push in here. Get on in. I might be snorting and stuff because of allergies, but come on in here. Get on in the comments section, wherever you are, wherever you're watching. If you're watching on FaceTubes, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, get in the comments section. Say hi. Just tell me where you are. And we'll get this thing up and rolling as soon as I get audio, video confirmation that everything is going good. This is the worst part of the show. Just waiting. So let me know. As soon as you let me know, we can do the boxing and we can get rolling. I got things I got to talk about. Maybe somebody's already done it and it's just not showing up. Let me see. We're going to go over here to YouTube, see if I can see any messages. Audio and video are good. Sorry about that. I don't know. That was the auto commercial. All right, just now. So it was already on the YouTube and it just showed up over here. All right, we'll go ahead and do the boxing. We're going to get going. Y'all come on in here. All right, welcome everybody. It is January the 30th, I believe. And we're doing the show a little bit earlier because it's already been a long day. As you know, I get up at 3:15, went with Mrs. Bunker to do a workout. Been going all day. Ended up in town for a little while. Enjoyed it. We'll talk about that just a little bit in a minute. If you guys are here, say hi, smash the like button, and we're going to talk a little bit. The biggest news, some of you know, perhaps if you've been paying attention over the last day, Bunker Nation Coffee is now live. It's actually available, and we have already sold out our first 2 batches. We got a 3rd batch coming in, and these are going to be shipping as early as Monday. So this is it. This is the first coffee. This is the Bunker Mocha Java blend, and I'll explain what that is. Comes in this nice package with the breathing hole thing. and it's got a nice label on it and all that. This is my personal blend that I picked everything on it. It's hand done in tiny batches. It is reminiscent of some of the best coffee I've ever had in the world. So I'm really excited to get it out there. The link is in the description if you're a future person. All you have to do is go down the description. There's a link and it says michaelbunker.com/coffee. I always get it backwards, michaelbunker.com, and you can find it there. But it is live and it is available. I've got some with me right now. I have myself a little cup. This is a coffee carafe thingy. Yeah, you buy it on my website. Even like I just said, I spent like 5 minutes saying it's at michaelbunker.com/coffee. But you'll find it if you go over there. Anyways, when my wife and I were in Hollywood visiting about the movie, my good friend Nick Cole took me to one of the best donut stores that he likes, and he's a donut connoisseur. And it was called the Sidecar. And my wife got this little coffee cup thing, and I've co-opted it. I've borrowed it. I've stolen it. And so I'm going to pour myself some Bunker Nation Mocha Java blend, if I can get this thing to work properly. And then I'm going to sip it while we talk. If you have questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, I also put a link in the description to my video that I did on coffee and civilization. I'm going to be doing more about that. All right. Yeah, I'm getting the messages a little bit late, Ethan. Anybody else that's out there, come on in the comment section, say hi. I'm not getting the comments. I'm getting them really late. So it makes the conversation a little stilted. I don't know why. I hope everybody's doing all right. Got myself a cup of Mocha Java. And what is Mocha Java blend? When you order a lot of coffee, and I'm not going to bad talk anybody's coffee. Coffee is what it is, and if you like it, you like what you drink. People like what they drink. Some people, some few, some brave and honorable few, happen to be the kind of people that are able to capture moments in their brain. Some of you are like that, especially if you're writers. And I'm the kind of person that whenever I have had a remarkable cup of coffee, I remember it just because most coffee, like most writing, is adequate. Some of it's not even adequate, but some of it's good. And you go, that's a good cup of coffee. But you have those ones that you just remember. And I have had coffee all over the world, some of the best coffee in the world. And I will always remember being in Australia. Australia, at the time that we were there, Western Australia, was not a food place. The whole food thing had not happened there yet. And it was kind of like Central and West Texas used to be. It had like their kinds of food that they ate, but the whole foodie thing and having artisan this and that, they didn't have. So it was very difficult to get any kind of coffee when we were in Australia because they, at that time, it's probably changed, drank mostly instant coffee or tea. Being a citizen of the realm, they drink a lot of tea, but everywhere I went, people said, they knew I was Texan, and they said, would you like some coffee? And I'd say yes, and they would bring out their little deal of hot water and their little deal of instant coffee. So being a complainer, I made comments, jokes, I call them jokes, about the fact that I couldn't get a cup of coffee in Australia. So this good friend of ours, who lived off-grid down in far southern Australia, on the very tip of the very bottom, right next to the Southern Ocean. The next body of land across from the water was Antarctica. That's where he was. And he scoured the stores and found some espresso-like coffee at a store, and he didn't even know how to make it because they didn't drink much coffee there, so I talked him through making it. He had... when he got up early in the morning, went out and milked his cow, separated the cream, whipped the cream, and then when I came in there, he was just as proud as could be, just glowing and beaming that he had done this thing. And this guy had 11 children. They lived totally off the grid. And he was beaming, and he came in there, and he poured us a cup of coffee. And we were there for a long time. I don't remember how, weeks. But we drank that coffee, and he was like just blown away how good it was. And we would sit there and talk about it. And so that every morning it became a ritual that we went and we sat and we had this coffee. And it was wonderful coffee. I've had coffee at the Café du Monde in New Orleans. I've had wonderful coffee in Oregon at the beach and in Seattle at the Pike Place Market. I've been in Central America and had the Costa Rican beans right where they were coming from in a little roaster's hut. And so those things stuck in my mind. And so I always wanted to recreate that coffee. And so that's what we have here. It's the Mocha Java blend. This is not a commercial. I'm just telling you about my life. Hello, Ohio. Hello, Hava. Glad you're here. Hello, Pat. Good to see you. And so Mocha Java is a blend of Ethiopian Mokamba coffee and Indonesian Java. That's where we get the term Java from. That's actually where coffee is. And so, and then it's roasted exactly. So he would send me samples and I would tell him, here's what I want him to do. And he roasted it exactly like I wanted it. So that's what this is. This is our first. We're coming out with some more different ones. I'm making some for Danielle right now. And then I'm going to make a super heavy dark blend as well. And so this is the first one. We sold out completely of the first two batches, and now we're getting another batch coming in. So make sure you go order. That's the way. It's one of the ways you can support the Bunker Nation. We can all think and thrive. All right, you guys come out here. Gather around. We're going to sit and drink some coffee and talk. If you have questions or comments, topics, anything you want to talk about, put them in the comment section. A lot of stuff going on in the world. That doesn't mean I want to talk about it. But there's stuff going on in the world. Very interesting. I'm going to get back to talking about coffee in just a minute, just because it fits into the topic. Um, Interesting things going on last week that crossed over political, economic, social, moral, what's going on in the world lines. And the biggest story was the GameStop story. And so many people got confused about what was even going on. They had no idea. They don't follow the stock market. They're not invested in the stock market. I had nothing in what do you want to call it? I had no dog in the fight. I know people don't like that saying, but I just found it interesting because of the ramifications of what was actually going on. Now, let me give you a quick shorthand of what happened in case you didn't know. For many, many years, the hedge funds and financiers and bankers have had pretty much a good scam going. They get to do whatever they want. If things start to go bad, they get bailed out or they get to change the rules midstream. Things you don't get to do. If things go bad for you, like, for example, if your government closes down all the stores and people go out of business and they crush the little man and boost the big mega stores, there's nothing you get to do about it. You get to do nothing about it. And so for a long time, they've had these machinations where they have ways of making money and making their money make money and making that money make money. And I'm going to get into the politics of this in a little while. Just want to tell you the main thing. One of the things they would do is they would find a stock. Some of their experts, somebody somewhere said, hey, this is one weekend crush. And they would start massively selling short this stock. It's stock manipulation, but that's what they would do. Selling short means basically they sold stock they didn't own. They borrow the stock, theoretically, and they sell it, knowing that it's going to go, the price, they're going to force the price down and down and down and down and down. Then when it gets really low, right before they put that company out of business, they buy back the stock at a few dollars or a few pennies a share. They give the original stock back to the people they borrowed it from, and they get to keep the difference. And when they all work together, or when they manage this stuff with billions of dollars, they can destroy companies, and they do it all the time. It's just ways of making a tremendous amount of money. Well, some social media people, the new warriors on the front of the insurrection, got wind of this and started talking about it. They decided they were going to get together. They're all going to buy this GameStop stock. Here's what that did. When they started buying the stock started going up, which is the last thing that the stock shorters, that the hedge funds want. They want that stock going down and down and down. Well, it started going the other way. At some point, the rules say they have to buy that stock and give the original stock back to whoever they got it from or whoever they owe stock to. They don't want to give stock or buy stock back when it costs more than what they sold it short for. So they got stuck out, and things started looking really, really bad when the stock went up, 800%, 2,000%, some crazy number. And so they went screaming to daddy and said, we want this fixed. They also happen to own or have people that are linked with all these different brokerages. And so, as usually happens, the corrupt workings of the machine went into effect. And the other day, they basically stopped you and me and small people like us from being able to buy that stock. You could sell it, but you couldn't buy it. Ask yourself if they would do that for you. If you just happen to be losing money in stock or in your business or whatever, would they do that? Would they stop, unplug the thing? I don't know. Would they? Probably not. That's kind of what happened. And so, undeterred, the people who are working to make this happen, to punish these hedge funds, have continued to buy the stock. I'm not telling anybody to buy a stock. You should never, ever listen to me on anything financial other than buy some coffee. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm a reporter. And so what happened is these hedge funds, some of them got into really big trouble, and they're having to buy back this stock way, way more for more than they want to. And a lot of them don't have the money because there was actually more stock shorted than actually existed. All of that kind of ripped open the veil, so to speak, and let everybody see they don't even pretend anymore that anything's fair. They closed down the businesses. They shut down the little man. They crushed them. And then when people can't pay their rent, when people can't do the things they normally would be able to do, they send you a $600 check. But when they start to lose money, all of a sudden they're like, we got to change. They'll just change the rules right in the middle of things. They make use of rules that are already written to their advantage. The rules are basically this. They can do whatever they want. Just like in 2008. How many people went to jail for the whole Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae thing? That many? So they just do whatever they want. Well, they got kind of caught out on this one. And that's what's been going on. It's one of the biggest news. The reason why I bring it up, this is not a stock channel, is that there is politics involved. What most people have just come to realize is that it's the same people. The same people. You are so confused. You have no idea about this. All of a sudden, when there was a Bolshevik revolution, Vladimir Lenin, was in Switzerland. He needed to get to Russia so that he could lead the revolution. How do you think he got there? You think he snuck across Germany, the country at which his country was with war, or with which his country was at war? No. The German industrialists, the rich billionaires of the time, smuggled him onto a train and got him into Russia because they knew he was probably going to put an end to the war. It's the same people. It's the same people. These are the people who have been financing the last 48 months of riots, the last 48 months of political discord on both sides. They are not Democrats and Republicans. They are Democrats and Republicans. They all work together. And everybody's out there. And now all the socialists out there, the little champagne socialists, the Neiman Marxists, they're like, we've been telling you the billionaires are taking all the money and they don't care about the poor people. It's the same people that were shipping your people, Antifa and BLM, into Portland and protecting you while they were there. It's the same people. It's the same people that have been shutting down free speech on the internet. It's the same people that are shutting down Parler. It's the same people that are saying you can't say stuff on the internet. It's all the same, and it's always been the same people. Do not let these champagne socialists, these little effeminate marchers who sit there and act like they're communists when in fact they sit at cafes and stuff like that, little hipsters, and pretend when they're not burning stuff down. They're the same people. The same people have been financing it all along. You don't think it's billionaires that are shutting down things like Parler, that are shutting down social media? You don't think it's the billionaires that have been manipulating the news over the riots and all that kind of stuff over the last 48 months? People are so blind. And then they let these idiots get out there and they're all acting like, we got to stop the rich. We're going to eat the rich. It's you. You're the same people. These corporate leftists, these corporate Bolsheviks are the ones who have been doing this all along. Just go look and see who's on the board of directors of these companies I've been mentioning. Just go look it up. Look it up yourself. I'm not saying. It's an interesting thing. You could have some coffee to drink while you mull it over. Uh, it's all a big show. The same billionaires who financed both sides of the war over there in World War I and World War II, those same billionaires, the same money is doing the same thing now. And they write the rules and they do whatever they want. So when Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell come out and says, we're going to investigate these Reddit people, these social media people who are manipulating stock. They weren't manipulating stock. They were buying it because they knew that the other side was manipulating the stock. You don't think it's manipulating the stock to get all your billionaire friends to sell short of stock so you can drive it down to zero so you bankrupt the company and you can buy it back for nothing? And I guess what? Go look it up. You can find out how these people vote. They vote for the deep state no matter what party they're in. Bitcoin can fix a lot of things if everybody's not willing to burn everything down and start over. We'll see. I don't know the answers. I'm going to sit here and sip my Bunker Nation coffee. And so here's the thing. How does all this fit together? Civilization is under attack. Oh, by the way, for those of you who have been waiting for the Bunker Nation Book Club, Part 2, I've been ready the last 2-3 days to do it, and something keeps coming up. You all know that I don't have that many full days hanging out with my wife because she works. And when she is not working, I like to hang out with her. And so yesterday I had planned to do the show, the Bunker Nation Book Club, Episode 2, and didn't get back in time. When do you plebes get your Bunker Nation coffee? It's right here. I can't mail it on Sunday. I just got to get it in the mail. Hopefully, it'll start going out tomorrow. That's hopefully. And all the plebes will be able to get theirs. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy it for the whole Bunker Nation out of a cup like a civilized person. I'm still got more to talk about coffee and civilization, what civilization is. It is civilization that is under attack, by the way. And it talks about it in this book. That's what this whole book is about. The civilized watching the uncivilized think they can fix things that took thousands of years for civilized people to build. We do not ship internationally yet, but it's coming. It's just, I think it would cost more than it's even probably worth to get it there now. We've got to find a way to do it cheaply. So let me look into it, and I will be making a report. Just check in at michaelbunker.com right there, and I will be putting some reports up about where we're going to be able to ship. Oh, this is good. And so, civilization. Why? A guy the other day, he's a friend of mine. He's dumb as a stump, but he's a good friend of mine. I have quite a few friends like that. I keep my friends as much as I can until they abuse my friendship. Pardon me. This guy just dumb as a stump. He didn't watch the video that's linked below about coffee. There's a right below here. If you're a future person and you're watching this in the future, it's not live. All of you that are watching it live on YouTube, you can go down into the description and there's a video about coffee and civilization. I have more to say on the topic. I'm not finished. I'm going to be doing a whole other video on that. He hadn't watched that video, so he didn't have the benefit of any wisdom whatsoever. And he made a comment on my wall about, why don't I just go out and get a Yeti and a French press? And I finally had to inform him, I've been using a French press since he was still rolling his poop into balls and peeing in his boots. And so who exactly is the deep state? Let me explain. I'll get back to my story in just a minute. The deep state is a group of people that cross over from the military. Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex, but it's basically just politicians, lifetime bureaucrats that have worked in Washington their whole life, who are both Democrats and Republicans. They are and in places of power, but many of them unelected, and they do whatever they can to boost and to support their own system outside. Everybody else is just a pawn to them. And so it's the same people over and over and over again. They rise to places of power. And I know a lot of you are out there pushing, we got to get term limits. It's not going to fix it. It's going to make it worse. There's an entrenched system. I wrote a short story that's for sale on Amazon. It's called One Arm of the Octopus. It will tell you a little bit about how it works. Read that short story. It is a fiction in name only. And so you read that. It kind of give you an idea what it is. It's just entrenched bureaucrats who are not elected, who become very powerful. They recruit and they gather together politicians at any particular time, and they enforce a way of doing things that is contrary to the oath or to the Constitution or our way of life. And they do it just to help themselves and to help their people and all that kind of stuff. It goes way deeper than that. This is just me offhand explaining to you. Anybody who says there's not a deep state is a complete idiot, and they don't understand, and they have no explanation for why things happen. Like these guys who are like, oh, we're gonna drain the swamp like Mitch McConnell, and then like the minute they lose, they're like, no, we gotta get rid of all these swamp drainers. They just swap sides because they use it. Yeah, their lobbyist is part of it. It's not as big as a lot of people think it is. Most of these people started off as staffers. If you get your term limits, staffers will run the world. And see, that's a funny joke. See, I'll share it because it's funny. I've never heard. Are you related to Archie Bunker? You get it? It's funny because my name is Bunker. And it's real clever because there was a TV show in the 70s called All in the Family, and the main guy's name was Bunker. So that's what makes it funny. I was in a place the other day. I love Archie too. Well, I'm not related. My name's Michael, but I'm not related to Archie Bunker. I was in a place the other day, and the bartender, her name was Alexa, and she expected a joke because her name was Alexa, because you don't realize how tiring it is sometimes when everybody makes the same joke. So now that Alexa is a big thing with Amazon, she said, my name's Alexa, and she kind of leaned in expecting the joke, and I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make the joke. Because you're too used to it, and you're probably tired of it, and I understand. All right, everybody. Glad to have you all here. So I'm going to get back to my story. I think I was talking about the deep state. I don't even remember. No, I'm not related. And the thing that gets me more doggone is my name is Michael, and so there was a Michael on that show, but he was a Stivic. He wasn't a Bunker. And so people used to go back in the 70s and 80s. They would say, oh, you're a meathead. I said, no, Michael's a Stivic. They don't even know the show. Everything is rigged: sports, politics, Wall Street, banking, media, most religion, education. It is the nature of fallen man that things are rigged. It's just the nature. People create fiefdoms over which they have control, and they recruit people who think like them and want to do things like them. Very few people have moral fiber or moral turpitude and are willing to allow other people to be free so long as they get to be free too. And so things are rigged because mankind is depraved. And he's that way from the womb. If you watch children play games, eventually the games will be taken over by one or two sociopaths or a narcissist who will, you know these people. You've been on this earth long enough to know they changed the rules. I'm still here. Here I am. All right, the camera froze up. You ever been playing? There was a guy I knew for quite a few years, and he was a golfer. And every time anything happened in any game, whatever the game was, Monopoly or anything else, and he started to lose, he would change the rules or try to change the rules. And then if you didn't let him change the rules, he got mad. that is the nature of mankind. So some of us have it worse, and some of us have been able to, by grace, see the corruption of that. But Willie, I don't know exactly what it is that you're actually asking me. Who's at the top? There doesn't have to be a top. People serve their own best interest. Who's at the top is Satan. At that of the deep state is Satan. But people don't know that. People work in their own self-interest. They do the things that are going to help them. They gather together. It says in, I think it's Proverbs chapter 2 or Psalms 2. It says, they gathered themselves together against God and against his Christ, against his anointed. They said, let's break their bonds asunder and cast them away from us. This is the bonds of religion and civility and right thinking, wholesomeness, and all those things. They gather together because they're like-minded. So let's just say, watch an old movie called All the King's Men, written by Robert Penn Warren. It was a book. I'll get to the watch here in a minute. Robert Penn Warren wrote a book called All the King's Men. It was that title that they borrowed and used for All the President's Men, which was about Nixon and the corruption in the Nixon administration, all that kind of stuff. If you are an idealist and you ran for office and you get into office, they will begin to corrupt you. If you are incorruptible, they will destroy you. You're not going to get to be there very long or do anything because they will isolate you, they will set you up, and they will finance your opponent, and they will eventually run you out of office. You're not going to be there very long. It doesn't have to be anybody on top. There doesn't have to be anybody sending out memos, although they do those things, and there is some organization. People think of this shadowy cabal that's organized. It doesn't have to be organized. Spiritual physics works. If you take a whole bunch of rocks at the top of the mountain and you push them off, they're all going to go downhill. They do that by nature, by law. There's a law of physics that makes them conform themselves to their nature. Man conforms himself to his nature. And when you take depraved men, because anybody who wants power over other people to any extent, that's not God-given authority that's supposed to be operated in their best interest. But when man wants power over other men, he's corrupted already. He shouldn't even want it. I conceived of a way years ago where we could actually have leadership where we force people to do it, because anybody who wants to do it is not qualified to it because they're already corrupted and they're corruptible. And that's the problem. So if you're sitting there thinking that they're all meeting there in darkened rooms and it's all very diabolical and they got fiery red eyes and flames going from their fingertips, wearing a bright red suit with a bifurcated tail carrying a pitchfork, not going to probably see that. Who knows? I mean, what do I know? Of course, maybe there's some of that. I don't know. For the most part, these guys get up in the morning and they're like, I hope we get something done today. We're going to do some things for my constituents. And then somebody calls and says, hey, here's the thing. If we let these Reddit people, these social media people, destroy these hedge funds, those hedge funds are entrenched in every bank, in every business, in every finance company. The whole thing is going to come crashing down. We can't let that happen. So we got to do whatever we can now to stop it. Now, perhaps the guy's not thinking, how do we screw poor people? He doesn't have to think that. The system's already set up. And they're right. If we followed the rules, eventually smart people will bring those corrupt people down, those hedge funds and all that kind of stuff down. But they're going to take everything with them when they go. It'll be a clean slate. And not in a good way. It all works together. They want to destroy civilization, but they want to be in charge of it, and they want to bring it down in a way that they maintain power. That's not likely to happen, but that's what's going on. All right, JKC 054 says we're thinking of moving to Texas from Indiana. Any areas you recommend in terms of more freedom than what we have here? Any chance Texas will actually secede, or is it pipe dream? I think there's a chance of it. We've talked about that here before. All right, so Texas is very different and it's huge. And so depending on where you are, I'll get to that in a minute. Depending on where you are, the levels of freedom. One thing we look for is we look for a county with a small or declining population base, because then you don't have busybodies in the cities trying to tell other people what to do. If you move, the farther west you move, you have less water, you have less natural resources, but the people tend to be much more freedom-oriented types of people, liberty-minded types of people. The bigger the city, the more you're going to be going in the opposite direction. And so there are great places all over Texas to live. I live in dead smack dab in the middle of Texas, but I have lived in West Texas and enjoyed it very much. I've traveled quite a bit throughout Texas. You just have to find out what it is that you want and start looking around. All right. Someone made a phone call and the whole world shut down. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. A lot of people make phone calls, and they do it, like I said, serving their own best interest. I'm not saying it's unorganized. I'm just saying that it's not organized in the way that people who watch movies think that it's organized. Those type of things don't have to happen. Natural man working and serving his own best interest will eventually fall into a satanic pattern of manipulation and theft and murder and all of those types of things, just because it's the way they are. Yeah, northern Texas is nice. There's some places up there that are really, really nice. Depends on where you mean. Far west Texas north is pretty cold and pretty windy. Not my favorite, but I like the people. I disappeared from Facebook. Well, come on over to YouTube. Just type in Michael Bunker. You'll find me. Do I like the message you saw in the front of a baseball cap? Better dead than red. I don't know. I'm not into slogans. I'm not into flags. I'm not into that sort of thing too much. All right, y'all. I'm sitting here having a nice cup of coffee. So I said I was going to steer this whole conversation back to coffee. One of the things that, and it's evident in this book as well, that we're reading, and we're going to do part 2 maybe tomorrow, is that it took mankind thousands of years to develop into a civilization that could support basically the entire world. Not everybody at the same level, but everybody at every level was supported higher than they would have been without it. Civilization works that way. The idea that somehow people who don't understand civilization and don't understand what it took to build it, or what it takes to maintain it, are going to step into power, the AOCs of the world, idealists who are completely fundamentally ignorant both of the history of the world and of what it has taken to get it where even the poor people in America and in the West and in most of the world have cell phones, and almost all of my clothes are bought at the thrift store, but they're nicer than my grandparents had. They're better quality than I get them for $1 or $2, but they're better than what my grandmother had. I won't forget your watch question. In fact, I don't know how I'm going to show it because it's, I'll take it off. So these people, and they try it in this book. They don't try it, they accomplish it. When the Bolsheviks take over, they destroy the civilization that had taken 1,000 years. They're one of the most advanced civilizations, the best art, the best poetry, the best literature in the world. They destroyed it. They killed 100 million people doing it. They made it where everybody was hungry, except for the very, very, very top apparatchiks of the party. And they always do that, and it's always the same people. Don't be fooled. The reason that coffee has something to do with this is when the gentleman in Moscow, who is being held as a prisoner, basically, house arrest in a nice hotel in Moscow throughout the whole, from the revolution forward. His character, I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow. His character is a observer from another world. He's from the world of civilization. And he's watching this advanced civilization just be disassembled. He's watching, he has a friend who's a writer, and he watches as the apparatchiks of the party come together and decide they're going to reinvent literature. And they have meetings and meetings, and they shout at each other, and everybody changes everything, and people get arrested, people disappear, all of this kind of stuff. People go to the Lubyanka, and he has he sits down while we're reading the book, and he has a cup of coffee, and it's described. There's a very, and this is in part 2. We'll talk about it tomorrow, so don't think you're missing anything. The wine cellar of the hotel he's in had 10,000 cases of wine. 10,000 cases. Those cases of wine were like a diary of civilization. Different areas that grew different kinds of wine that were purchased through hundreds of years, and they were stored, perfectly stored. When the Bolsheviks took power, they liked wine too, but they didn't like the idea that there was a representation of wealth and there was a representation of civilization. So they had all the labels removed. They just divided the entire cellar to red and white. They were completely fundamentally ignorant of what it took to grow that wine, what it took to make it different, so one went well with one type of food and one with that had developed not overnight. Someone didn't make it up. It developed over thousands and thousands of years of people saying, okay, this particular wine it comes from this region and has this terra flavor of the earth there, and the people who work the land there and their character and their nature and all of that. And it was all in that bottle, and it had a label on it. And so when you ordered something, they had an expert who had been an expert for dozens of years, and he would say, here's the wine you want with that meal, right? The Bolsheviks just took off all the labels. They didn't want any differentiation between things. When you're sitting here and you're drinking a cup of Bunker Nation Mocha Java, it's very easy to think that it's just a cup of Folgers. And ignorant people, and there's one of the guys on the radio station here in Brownwood, Texas, is just one of the dumbest people that's ever lived. Can't understand the difference. And so they go get their big, huge mug of coffee, and they not even a clue of the differences of. I've been to Central America, and I've talked to people, and I've walked through where they grow the beans. All right. Thank you, Word Ogheim, for that super chat. You guys can always, right below the comment section on YouTube, you can hit the little $sign and you can donate to help support. All right. All right. So let me see what we got here. Any idea why the Kindle version of the book you were talking about is $3 more than the paperback version on Amazon? Yes, because they don't want you buying the Kindle version. They want you buying the paperback version because they're still in the paper business. Don't ask me, it's stupid, but it's a buggy whip business. And anytime you're dealing with the legacy publishers, they don't want people reading Kindle. So they're going to charge you $19.99 or $15.99 for the Kindle, and they'll charge you less for the paperback. I like the paperback better, so it works out for me. All right. So I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to talk more about this book tomorrow. I just barely touched on it, on the themes in this book and why it's so important for you to be able to understand it. Because if you understand it, you'll be able to look into the world around you and see what's going on. when the AOCs or the McConnells or all these people are pulling the strings and the machinations of the society, or what are they trying to accomplish? They're trying to destroy civilization. They think they can do better. They think if they can bring it down and kill half the population or whatever they need to do, they're going to build it back better. Build it back better. That's what they want to do. It remains to be seen if they might accomplish it. What we're going to do is point it out so everybody can see it all along the way. Last question for today. Do you own a portable shortwave radio? I do. If so, which one, and can you recommend to me? I cannot, just because I'm not very good at that. I have several handheld ones, and then I've got, they're not around here. I can't. There are people way back. I would just watch some YouTubes and get some recommendations from experts. I like to admit when I'm not an expert, and I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff. All right, everybody, if you have questions or comments, get them in right now. I want you to go to michaelbunker.com. You can find it right there, michaelbunker.com. You can also go down into the description here, click on the link to get to coffee, order some coffee. You'll be helping support the Bunker Nation. You're going to help me expand this as far as I can expand it before they shut me down. So I'm looking forward to it. Order yourself some Bunker coffee. We're going to be shipping it out. I got the labels in today. We're packaging it up, and we're going to get it out this week. And we got more coming in. We got more flavors that we're going to be making. I have to pick the beans and all this kind of stuff. We got some coming in for my wife, for some of you who like a more modest medium roast. And then we're going to do a super dark espresso roast as well. All right, everybody, it's been good to talk to you. Make sure that after this is over, go to YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with people. I wanted to tell you, and somebody mentioned it just now, I watched the Primal Man show. I was on it last week. Watch that show. It's linked below in the description. If you didn't watch the Primal Man show, go down and watch it. It's definitely worth your time. It was wonderful to be on the show, but I think that the information that was shared was very, very valuable. So go down there and check it out. We're going to be back, Lord willing, tomorrow. I have to do the Bunker Nation book show tomorrow, episode 2, and I have a Walkabout Talk About. I'm going to be pushing up at some point. Appreciate you guys as always. I love you. Appreciate you being here. Lord willing, I'll be back. If not tomorrow, probably tomorrow. Then possibly the next day. But I'll see you when I see you. God bless.